Martin Truex Jr. is here with us today. He drives a number 78 Furniture Row Chevrolet. And Martin, it's good to see you. You're with a new race team. And also be lining up with a Daytona 500. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you two questions, actually. The new race team, how's that? How's your outlook with that? I know you got some excitement in regards to that. And also, with the new championship format now, you come out of here with a win, you're looking pretty good. So maybe talk about that as well as being with Furniture Row.
Sure. Yeah, it's well, first of all, I'm glad to be in Daytona. I'm ready to kick off a new season. Obviously, I think going to a new team is always something that at first you're nervous about, and then as you start to know the team and do some testing and go through all the things, getting prepared for the new season, it starts to become really exciting. A lot of anticipation. Really looking forward to the start of the season and trying to see kind of where you stack up, what kind of things you're going to need to work on to get better at and all that. So it's been a really good experience so far. Really enjoyed working with Todd and Cole and everybody at Furniture Row, and been to Denver a few times. Really impressed with the things they have and the stuff they're doing, the things they're working on. Some of the stuff they did last year was really impressive, and just obviously looking forward to hopefully taking that team to the next level, going to victory lane and going back to the chase again. So obviously with all the rule changes, not only with the car but with the chase, I think it's a good year to be with a different team. If you ever had to pick a time to switch teams, you'd want to do it when there was some big rule changes. So you kind of start off on an even playing field with everyone. We're going to have to learn a lot of things about this race car with the new setups, with the ride height changes and things. It really changes a lot about the cars, about how they're set up, how they feel to drive, and it's going to change a lot about the things we need to do to them to make them fast. So definitely a good time to be starting with a new group, and looking forward to getting the ball rolling and seeing where we stand.
Questions for Martin? I believe Mike has one, and then we'll go over here to Stan. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Hember, USA Today. You're 0 for 2 in scheduled in-person media appearances this year. Tell us the story about getting down here. Ryan kind of went through it, but this was your airplane, and you were supposed to leave in the morning, and got delayed, etc. What happened?
We were supposed to leave at 10:45. Obviously, that didn't happen. We ended up taking off. We got to the airport about 2:15, 2:30, hoping to take off at 2:30. Ended up taking off close to 5 o'clock. It took me an hour and 15 minutes to get from my house to the airport in my truck, which is like a big jacked up Chevy with 38s on it. It was pretty fun in the snow nonetheless, but hour and 15 minutes probably to get to the airport, which is normally about 16 minutes away from the house. Foot of snow. It was pretty nasty. It was a lot of fun, but once we got to the airport, the runway was nowhere near as ready as we thought it would be. So Ryan was out there in his truck doing laps up and down, trying to break up the slush and help the plow trucks. He had to unstuck the plow truck once because the guy went off the end of the runway and got stuck in the grass. So he had to pull him out. So it was an interesting day, to say the least, and we had a good time. Much rather would have been here talking to all y'all, but we did end up getting here and got most of our things done yesterday and last night. So it ended up working out, but definitely an interesting day, to say the least. Yes, sir.
Let's go over here to Stan to the far left, and then to Tom.
The other way. There you go. Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com. 3 changes for you. Sponsor, car make, and all the changes that NASCAR put down. Which has been the most challenging over the winter?
I don't think there's been one that really stood out. I think, that's a lot of changes at once. There's just a lot of things to get accustomed to. As far as going to a new team, it's a lot of the little things. How do you like your seat? How do you like your shifter? How do you like your brake pedal to feel? Master cylinder choice. What kind of steering box do you like at certain tracks? There's so many little things that you take for granted when you're with the same team for 4 or 5 years. You go through those things the first year and you kind of forget all about them, but you forget that other teams do things differently. Other drivers like things a little bit different. So, going through the testing and going through all those little things about the car that I like a certain way has probably been the biggest challenge, or the thing that's taken kind of the most time kind of get through and figure it out. And I'm sure there's going to be other things that come up along the way that we're going to have to figure out together. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is just changing teams, and they do things kind of a different way, and you have to kind of say, okay, well, I kind of like it this way a little, here and there. And so that takes a little bit of time to figure it all out. So I feel like we've made some great headway on that. But, again, until you start racing, a lot of those things don't come up as, in the forefront as much as you'd like them to. So we'll learn as we go. Testing has went really well with the team. Communication has been great so far. Really enjoy working with Todd and Cole, the engineer. They're some sharp guys, and they've got some really neat stuff they're working on. So I'm excited to drive their cars, and hopefully I can do a great job for them.
Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, Martin. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. You mentioned you want to see how you measure up against other teams. How many races does it take before you know where you're at, given the difference of tracks we've got coming up in the first 4 or 5 races?
Yeah, I'd say not too long. I think, by California, you really get a feel of where you stand, because you go to Vegas, which is a mile and a half, but it's very bumpy. It's a little bit different. It's kind of got the newer asphalt, and then you go to California, which is that old wore-out type asphalt, really slick racetrack, need a lot of downforce and things. Of course, we go to Bristol, and there, short track, high banks. So, and then super speedway here at Daytona. So there's a good mix of tracks. Phoenix, can't forget that one. Obviously, that'll be a good place to know where you're going to stand at the short tracks, Loudon, Richmond, and places like that. So I think pretty early in the season, you'll kind of know the things that you're going to need to work on, the tracks that maybe you're strong at, the tracks that maybe you need to work on a little bit harder. It doesn't take long.
Let's go to Reed. I'm sorry, Dan. We'll go Dan, Dwight, and then Reed.
Dan Gelton, the Associated Press. Martin, what do you think some of the differences will be this year with just the one car, with just you as the only driver, as far as, will that make it a little more challenging getting feedback, not getting that from teammates? And do you get some kind of added motivation knowing that they were able to have success last year in a single car with a good driver?
Well, it definitely makes you feel better knowing that they've been able to, put up some great results, and they've had fast race cars. Obviously, that's part of the reason I went there. I wasn't going to go there if I didn't think that we could win races. That's not what I'm here for. So, yeah, I definitely think the team's capable. Feel really good about that, obviously, and just really looking forward to getting the season started. The off seasons are always tough. You're always wondering what's going to happen, how it's going to go. You just want to get in there and race, and especially when you're changing teams, it's like when you start talking to them and you sign a deal. Last year we pretty much signed it in Texas, and there's a lot of time between Texas and the Daytona 500 to think about it. So it's kind of a tough time there. You really just want to get in there with your new team and get to work and start racing together. But obviously you got to wait. So it's been good. I think there's not going to be one thing that stands out as far as being challenging. I think the relationship with RCR, they've really evolved that. I'm pretty good friends with some guys over there. Obviously, Ryan's Newman is one of my best friends, and feel like that'll be a big deal to be able to work with him. We're both really looking forward to that, I think. And it's definitely it's obviously a single car team, but they have the RCR resource and that teammate type mentality, where if we're off or we're struggling with something, we can go to them for help. Same thing on our side. If we're doing something well and they're struggling, they can come to us. So it's got the benefits really of a single car operation where they can move fast and make changes quick and build their own parts and not have to wait 3 or 4 weeks to get them finished to put on the car. But at the same time, if we get kind of out in left field, we've got kind of that catch fence to help us with RCR. So I think that's a great thing. I think there's benefits to being that single car deal, and we'll just have to see how it goes. But it's definitely going to be different for me. I mean, I haven't been in a situation like this before, so it's going to be interesting. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a new challenge, and I always look forward for those.
Let's go to Dwight, and then we'll go to Reed.
Dwight Drum, RaceStake.com. The last time I talked to you, I was on the media tour, and there's palm trees swaying in the background where you were at, and you had a drink delivered.
Not on purpose, by that was not planned, believe it or not. I can't even take credit for that one.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you about that. About resiliency. Isn't that what you're making a big change? Isn't that what makes a difference between guys at this level, girls like anybody that makes it to this level, that ability to be resilient?
Well, racing is a tough sport, and there's just going to be there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. And there's most likely going to be a lot more downs than ups. I mean, this is a tough business. This is you're talking about racing against 42 guys every weekend. You don't win 50% of the time. You win 1% of the time at this level is pretty damn good. So it's a difficult sport. It takes its toll on your mentality. You got to be strong-willed and know what you stand for and know why you're doing what you're doing. And certainly last year was tough for me, but I moved on from it pretty quick and feel like things are still going pretty good for me. And I'm obviously very appreciative of this opportunity. Very fortunate that I was able to land in a great position, that I'm in right now, with how things went and how late in the season they were. So, honestly, blessed to be here. Looking forward to the opportunity, and I'm going to do my best to make the most of it, like I always do.
Go to Reed and then Mike Vega.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Even though you've tested with the team, you weren't here for preseason Thunder. We're in Anguilla for the media tour. Has this offseason felt fundamentally different? And do you feel like fully plugged in and ready to go at this point?
I feel really good about it. Yeah, definitely refreshed. Rejuvenated, ready to go. I think their approach was just a little different. They didn't feel like this was one of the places where they wanted to, spend the time and effort testing. They felt like their time was better spent getting stuff ready at the shop, to go test in places like Nashville, which we've already been to. So, I think part of it was his barrier is a little bit superstitious. And he said the year that they didn't test here, they won the 500. So maybe that's part of the reason as well. He hasn't really said that, but that's kind of what I got from talking to him. So. We'll just see how it goes. But, it's been a great offseason. Been a lot of work behind the scenes, obviously, getting all this stuff ready. Been to Denver a few times, and all that's went well. So it's not been the typical offseason, but it's been a busy one for sure.
Go to Mike Vega. Excuse me.
Martin, Mike Vega, Boston Globe. I'm not sure you had the opportunity to address this, but with the changes that were implemented here, with the changes in the championship format, now the expansion of the chase, do you sit back once you learned about that? Did it give you pause to say, hey, if this had been implemented last year, maybe I might not have been subjected to the drama that I went through, and that you might still be with that team and with your sponsor in that car?
That crossed my mind. Yeah. Obviously, none of that would ever happen. But that's not what the rules were last year, so there's nothing I can do about that. I mean, you can't. You can't, look back at things that happened and say, well, if the rules were different, it would have went this way, because the rules were what they were. I mean, it's not even worth looking back on, to be honest with you. It's one of those things you just want to forget about and move forward. But I'm excited about the new changes. I think it's a great thing. I think that, obviously based on what we've seen in football, it's, obviously exciting playoff system. I think this will be more like that. I think the eliminations are great. It's going to give everybody a chance to, race for a championship. And I think certainly we're capable of getting in that top 16, hopefully by winning a few races. That's the plan. So it's going to be good. Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be exciting for everyone to watch. Definitely going to be different for us as drivers. And it's going to be some good stuff in there.